wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Monster Morgan!
Hey, ain't that bad, but they say I gotta do it. Front page news, but they say I gotta do it.
Lord have mercy.
Let's get right into it. What's up, Morgan?
Hey, y'all got me turned up this morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. How y'all feeling? Evening envy. Charlamagne, Jess Hilarious.
Black and highly favored. What's happening?
Good.
All right. Well, what's happening is not the stock market, okay? The stock market had its worst start to the presidential term since 2009. According to Dow Jones market data, stocks suffered their weakest first 50 days as a presidency since President Barack Obama's first term. As of Monday, the S&P 500 fell 6.4% since President Trump's inauguration on January 20th. The tech-heavy NASDAQ fell about 4%, with Tesla, Alphabet, and Meta among the biggest losers. All three major indexes finished sharply lower. During the first 50 days of Trump's first term, the Dow and the NASDAQ rose 6%, but while the S&P gained nearly 5%. So let's see if today can bring better results in the market. Elsewhere, House GOP members are trying to wrap...
And it's all Trump's fault. Don't forget to say that, because he said he can't guarantee we won't be in a recession.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so House GOP members are trying to rally behind a bill that would keep the government open through the summertime. House Speaker Mike Johnson says they will try to pass it today. Republicans will do hold a 218 to 214 House majority, but so far, most seem inclined to pass the measure that would keep the government funding at its current levels through September 30th. Now, House Democrats have spoke out against the bill, saying it will cut Medicare and Medicaid. Let's hear more from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who expects Democrats to vote against this proposed Republican bill.
The House Republican so-called spending bill does nothing to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Quite the opposite. The Republican bill dramatically cuts health care, nutritional assistance for children and families, and veterans' benefits. It is not something we could ever support.
First of all, you can't trust all Democrats to vote against Republicans, because all Democrats are never on the same page. We saw that last week when 10 of them voted to censor Congressman Al Green.
Right.
It's true. Oh, all right. Yeah, well, Republicans are expected to bring the bill to the House floor today, with GOP Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky already saying he'll vote against it. So there are some Republicans who do not like this particular spending bill. And without a new spending bill, the federal government would shut down on Friday. So we just have a matter of days for them to go ahead and get this thing passed. In other news, electricity exports from Ontario, Canada to the U.S. are being hit with a surcharge. This is in result to the tariffs that we're going to hit them with. So Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced a 25% increase. He made that announcement yesterday. He said he urged the U.S. not to escalate this trade war. And he said, like you said, Charlamagne, it's all Trump's fault. Let's hear more from Ontario Premier Doug Ford.
Believe me when I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people, because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump. I will not hesitate to increase this charge. If necessary, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely.
Jesus.
We will apply maximum pressure to maximize our leverage.
Trump got to stop playing. He got to stop playing. Like the food, I was nervous about.
Yeah.
But the electric bills, I don't know if you guys have been looking at your electric bills. They're already through the roof now.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're going to add a surcharge and raise it a certain percentage and could possibly shut it off, I'm nervous now.
And that's when you should have been nervous, but that's not what Trump promised on the campaign
trail.
No. He promised low grocery prices. He promised the low cost of everything. And he promised a high stock market. But because of him saying he can't guarantee we won't be in a recession, the stock market is down. And because of these tariffs and these trade wars, grocery prices and the cost of everyday living is going to continue to go up.
Electricity going up is crazy. That is Jesus.
Yeah, it is. It's scary stuff for real. And you know, what can we do if we're sitting here like, what do we do? What do we do?
But even with what's some things that be on the top of the people's roofs, the energy
Solar energy.
saving,
Solar energy.
so that ain't even gonna help it at all either.
No, solar energy will help because that comes from the sun if you already have that installed into your house. But if you don't have that installed to your house,
right, so you got
to get electric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of people in Maryland do have that, though.
Yeah.
1.5 million Americans in Michigan, Minnesota, and New York get their electricity from Ontario, just to give you guys a little stat. Ford said, again, if the U.S. escalates, he will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. So that would be very, very impactful. Not to mention, guys, wait, there's more. Don't forget, we got those tariffs coming on April 2nd. So, I would just say buckle down. It is not the time to be flashy and flossy.
At all. Hold on to your coins.
Period.
We probably headed to a recession, y'all. But it's been 11 recessions in this country since World War II, and 10 have been under Republican presidents. That's what they do.
Yeah, all right. So that's your front page news for 6 a.m.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get back to some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Listen, did you guys know that the Trump administration is launching a new self-deportation app for illegal immigrants?
What?
You can take yourself out. If you know that you might be deported, you leave.
Really?
Now, I know somebody that happened to, actually.
So the CBP Home app allows those in the U.S. illegally to notify the government about their intent to leave the country. And Customs and Border Protection says this provides illegal immigrants the chance to leave before facing harsher consequences. CBP Home is a repurposing of the CBP One app from the Biden administration that allowed migrants to schedule appointments at the U.S. ports of entry. So that was shut down, of course, as Trump entered office, and all appointments were canceled as of Trump's first day back in office. So the CBP Home app, again, allows those who are in the U.S. illegally to notify the government of their intent to leave the country. And then once you get there, reportedly, you can leave without having harsher sentences or harsher punishments, as long as you're not one of those, super violent offenders. So this brings me to my next story that's relative. A New York federal judge is temporarily blocking efforts by the Trump administration to deport a student leader of recent pro-Hamas, anti-Israel demonstrations at Columbia University. Now, there were demonstrations outside of Columbia University in downtown in Foley Square. Mahmoud Khalil, a Syrian-born pro-Palestinian activist, was arrested by ICE agents at his student housing apartment on Saturday night and is being held in an immigration detention center in Louisiana. Now, Khalil holds a now revoked permanent green card, so he was on his path to citizenship, and a student visa. His supporters say his free speech rights are being violated. This comes as protests, of course, are ramping up in New York City. Let's take a listen to some of those protests that happened yesterday at Columbia.
Free Mahmoud Khalil, no!
Universities cannot exist when their leaders do not stand up for the basic values of teaching, learning, expression, research, inquiry, and debate. Our worst enemy at this moment is the idea that the terrible things that happen during authoritarian dictatorships elsewhere could somehow never happen here, but they can happen. And indeed, we must acknowledge that some of those things are already happening.
Yeah, so in a Truth Social post, Trump signaled that this is just the beginning of deportations. He said the administration will not tolerate students who've engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-American activity. ICE agents also reportedly threatened to arrest Mahmoud's wife, who is an American citizen, and she's also 8 months pregnant. So Khalil is due in court on Wednesday morning, and we will see what comes of that. Also, I want to let you know that he actually sent a letter to Columbia University interim president Katrina Armstrong, asking for support and protection. Part of the letter reads, "I haven't been able to sleep, fearing that ICE or a dangerous individual might come to my home. I urgently need legal support, and I urge you to intervene and provide the necessary protections to prevent further harm." Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, deporting someone because you don't like what they are protesting or speaking out against is nuts. And if you are a person, who believes in people's right to free speech, or you believe in your right to free speech and your right to protest, you got to speak out against this. You have to.
So meanwhile, the Department of Education is warning some 60 colleges and universities to protect Jewish students or risk losing federal funds. So remember yesterday we were talking about what's legal and not in terms of withholding federal funds. Well, as long as Congress approves it, they can withhold these federal funds. So in a letter sent to schools across the country, the Department of Education said that the Civil Rights Act requires students to have uninterrupted access to campus facilities and educational opportunities. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon noted that pro-Palestinian protests have broken out since the Israel-Hamas war started in 2023, calling them relentless anti-Semitic eruptions. And of course, last week, Columbia University lost $400 million in federal grants and contracts for what the government is calling continued inaction to protect Jewish students from discrimination. Now, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, she has criticized the Trump administration for trying to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. She spoke at a teachers union event in Albany, New York yesterday, and the governor urged parents, teachers, and students to go to rallies and offices and talk to elected officials to fight Trump's efforts to shut down the U.S. Department of Education. Let's hear those comments from New York Governor Kathy Hochul.
So we're going to take it to the streets. We're going to take it to congressional office and make them look in the eyes of our kids and tell them they're going to go back to Washington and vote against them. I dare them that they cannot do it. And the more children we see out there, the bigger difference I believe you'll have, because how do you say no to a child with disabilities?
Kathy don't know the administration we talking about. They're going to look them kids with disabilities dead in their eye and
like,
tell them that's it. Mm-hmm. Trump might even hit them with the full. Remember when Trump went full T-Rex that one time?
Oh, was making fun of him.
Yes, you forgot about that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Damn. Sorry. When you said T-Rex, oh my God, the visual. Okay, anyways. So the Trump administration officials say the efforts to shut down the department is a part of the overall plan to cut government spending and eliminate bureaucratic bloat. You know, it's so crazy about this whole Doge thing about cutting government spending, but you know it costs money to change Black Lives Matter Plaza. It costs money to change these military bases back. That costs billions, millions of dollars. So I'm not sure, that we're actually cutting this, we're actually taking this money and it's actually being cut, or as opposed to being reallocated is what I'm seeing. So, but I'm not going to get too much into that. And, that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media for more news coverage. Follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Y'all have a great Tuesday.
Thank you, Morgan.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.